Okay, so we're looking at problem number 3 on page 279. Ray plays on the basketball team. Last week he scored all of his points from free throws, worth 1 point each, and field goals, worth 2 points each. He has forgotten how many points he scored, but he remembers some facts from the game. I'm going to go ahead and underline some of that important information because that's good, or it's best practice. Right, so he scored all of his points from free throws, worth 1 point, and field goals, worth 2 points. All right, F is going to represent the number of free throws, and G is going to represent the number of field goals. Okay, and remember, free throws, 1 point, field goals, 2 points. Write an inequality for each of the facts below. Ray scored fewer than 20 points, all right? So I need to stay point-focused. I'm going to take 1 point times F and 2 points times G. I'm going to add them together, and I know that that needs to be less than 20. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with this equation. Okay, my 1 here is invisible. Ray made fewer than 6 free throws. Okay, so the number of free throws will be less than 6. And at most, Ray made twice as many free throws as he made field goals. And because of that at most, I'm going to include a less than or equal to sign. Okay, before I start graphing these in B, I'm going to solve to get G by itself in every problem. So here I'm going to start by subtracting F from both sides. And that's going to give me that 2G, draw a little arrow, moving from left to right. 2G is less than negative F plus 20. My last step is I need to divide by 2 on both sides. And when I do that, I'm going to end up with G is less than an invisible 1 over 2, negative 1/2 F plus 10. Okay, so I'm ready to go ahead and graph this. Now I accidentally put a little less than or equal to sign there, and I should not have, so I'm going to erase that. Alright, and that's important because when I graph my line, I want to make sure that I use a dotted line. I see that my y-intercept is here at 10, and then I'm going to be going down 1 over 2, and I see that my intervals here are going up by 2's, which means that if I'm technically going to go down 1, I have to go halfway, and then over 2 will be the full coordinate on the graph. Or I can just double the numerator and denominator instead of going down 2 over 4, which looks like 1 over 2. Either works. When I do that, I'm going to have a graph that looks like this. And then I want to make sure that I shade the region that is less than that value, which is going to be this side. Okay. And now we're going to look at this one. There is no G here, so I'm just going to be graphing a vertical line at F is 6. Get my graph pulled up. Okay, so here at F is 6, I'm going to draw my vertical line straight up, and then I need all the values that are less than that, so I'm going to shade the region to the left. I already see that my solution is going to be somewhere here in this double shaded region, but we have a third restriction to consider today. And before I graph it, I'm going to, once again, isolate G, which to isolate G this time, I just have to divide by 2 on both sides. So I have 1/2 F is less than or equal to G, and I'm just going to flip that because it looks better to me, although it is definitely not required. And G is still going to be greater than or equal to 1/2 F. I apologize if you were confused by this. This should have said 1/2 F. Okay, and And now I'm going to go ahead and graph this. I see that there is no y-intercept. Which means I'm starting at the origin, 0, and then I'm going up 1 and over 2, so I have the same slope as before, which I'm going to go ahead and double it, go up 1 over 2. Starting here, oh shoot, lies. Starting here, oh shoot, guys, I'm so sorry, oh shoot, come on. There we go. Okay, starting at my origin, I'm going to go up 1 over 2 until I get to the end of my graph. And you'll see that my line this time is solid. I'm going to shade the values that are above my graph. And I'm going to look for the area that is triple shaded now to get my possible solutions. And I see that that region is going to be here. I want you to pause the video and read C. C is going to be asking about what your reasonable solutions are. So think about the context of a basketball game and the number of points scored, the types of throws you're making, and I want you to give 2 solutions that make sense in the context and 1 that does not, and go ahead and explain, and then you can check your work against my answers. If I can get my highlighter to be the right size. Okay, go ahead and pause the video, and then you can unpause and compare your answers to mine. Okay. The 2 points that I chose that are in black are my values that would make sense in the context of this problem, and the red value is the point that would not make sense within the context of this problem. Okay. Oh my goodness, that is not what I thought it was going to be. Okay, so the points that I chose that make sense are 4, 6, and 5, 4. Okay, they both fall in the triple shaded region, and they're whole values. Okay, which if we're talking about points that are scored in a basketball game, whole values make sense. My red point is an approximate of 3.5. 5. And this does not make sense, because that would imply that we threw 3.5 free throws, and as far as I know, that goes against the rules of basketball, although we have some basketball players in the room, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. Can you think of any other values that wouldn't make sense? Go ahead and go on to the next page. And thank you for watching and taking notes. Please let me know if you have any questions.